is in a state of constant running away from feeling guilty. Maybe that's not the word you use to describe that sense of inadequacy, but it is an accurate word once you start to see it this way. Guilt, we believe we're guilty. Even or especially the Samaritans, the good guys. We believe we're guilty. We believe in original sin, whether we think we believe in it or not. It's this underlying idea that we're not good enough, that we did something wrong. Now, many of you know this is not true. You know it's not true. But very, very few of us know that it's not true. Does that make sense? We know it's not true. But we don't always know it's not true. When we are not in a state of self-forgiveness, anything we do, especially consciously, like spirituality, for example, any practice we embark upon, any aim that we have for ourselves, will be coming from a state of compensation, trying to compensate for that maybe unseen area where we believe we're guilty of something. That something may be very, very unspecific. It may be simply for existing, being in the way of other people, not wanting to stand out, not wanting to be yourself, because that would mean that you're only creating more guilt. You're more guilty of standing out. You're more guilty of being yourself. You're more guilty of being present. Many of us try to avoid being present, because when we're present, when we're present in any sort of way, not necessarily in the way that we did in the meditation, but when we feel present as a person, as a being, we very, very quickly feel guilty of being present. We call it arrogance. We call it ego. Now, true, sometimes it may be that the act of that personality, that personal act, can be very egotistical, shall we say. But that too only comes from trying to compensate for feeling like we're sinners, feeling like we're guilty. So during this meeting, ask yourself, what do I feel guilty of? Again, it can be very, very unspecific. It can be very, very abstract, very, very subtle. What do you, in your heart, feel guilty of? Or in your mind, whatever works for you, or in your gut. What do you feel guilty of? Where do you not forgive yourself? Maybe images come, maybe feelings come, maybe memories come, maybe nothing comes. Maybe a bunch of words you picked up along the way. Whatever it is, just let it be there. But keep with the question, what am I guilty of? Or what do I experience myself as guilty of? What do I believe I am guilty of? What am I running away from? What am I trying to compensate for? What did I do so wrong that I need to compensate for this entire lifetime of seeking, of trying to achieve, trying so hard to become something I'm not, or maybe that I think I am, just to compensate for my guilt, just to compensate for that little idea that's been infused within our consciousness, that collective idea is a collective idea as well, and we're not separate from the collective. The collective as well as individual idea, I am not worthy, or as seen from the other side, I am guilty. I'm unforgivable. I am not enough. Where do we harbor those feelings? Where do we still harbor those beliefs, those ideas, even though we know it's not true? Are you still running? Are you still burning yourself out? Are you still tiring yourself out? Now make no mistake, you can tire yourself out with spirituality like you can in no other field. So spirituality is not necessarily the answer. It's not necessarily a sign of your resolution of your sense of guilt or your sense of inadequacy. It may very well be a fancy cover-up. So where are you running? Where are you uncomfortable with yourself as you are? Where do you believe you're not worthy, etc.? Just allow yourself the space for these images and feelings to come up. You don't have to do anything with them. You just have to give them the space. Give them that allowance. See them in the light of the space as we saw in the meditation when we began. Because all the stuff I talk about, whether it is realizing some deeper aspect of your consciousness, a more changeless, timeless aspect of your consciousness, or whether it is to sort of actualize that into your life in the form of realizing that you are, all the time, creating your reality. Either one of these aspects of my teaching will not serve you, will not necessarily do you justice as much as it would if you'd forgive yourself first. What happens when you're not forgiving yourself? When you're in a state of not forgiving yourself, what's actually going on? Are you okay with yourself as you are in that moment? Are you now? Now is the only time there is. Now is the only moment, the only existence that there is. Watch what happens when you don't forgive yourself. The moment you cannot live with yourself, the moment you feel guilty about something, immediately your neurons fire up and you're trying to compensate for it. You're imagining something in the future that will be better. You're imagining what action you should take in order to be forgivable. Again, in your own eyes. Or in the eyes of others, which are still your own eyes. If we do anything, any practice, to achieve or find or discover happiness, joy, lightness, awareness, if we do any of that, and many of you may know that because many of you have been seeking in a very conscious, deliberate way for many, many years, many decades maybe even. So many of you know what happens when you're not forgiving yourself. As long as you don't forgive yourself, you'll be seeking. Now seeking is natural. Seeking cannot be escaped, but the desperation with which you seek, the joyless ways with which we tend to seek, the self-depriving ways with which we tend to seek, these are all ways to feel more guilty, because if we feel guilty, we feel like we can be forgiven more. Bear with me with this. This is a subtle thing, but if you get it, imagine you're doing something. Like, I had this conversation with a woman on Facebook today, and she's in a situation where she's deciding to leave her marriage. She has kids. She feels guilty toward the kids for moving. Very practical example. Feeling guilty is a choice. Why would she, in that circumstance, and she is all of us in a different circumstance, why would she choose to feel guilty? She sees it, she knows it, she knows it's not ultimately the way to go, it's not absolutely beneficial, and yet some part of her consciousness perceives benefit in feeling guilty. That's the only reason why she keeps feeling guilty. After you're conscious of it, the only reason why you're still holding on to it is because you perceive some value or benefit in it. We want to feel guilty. If she decides to feel guilty, that will make her more forgivable toward her children. We don't like somebody that does something we don't like that then does not feel guilty. We like those that feel really, really guilty, that apologize 1,200 times every day and send us postcards how much they hurt our lives. So by doing that, they can actually, to some degree, feel like they're exonerating themselves from feeling guilty by feeling guilty. See what I mean? Does everybody see that? We're compensating for it. So we want to feel guilty because we want to be loved. The benefit that that woman or us all perceive in feeling guilty and expressing that guilt is to be loved, to be accepted. And through that reflection of others loving us, to get a glimpse of what it is like to simply feel love. Ultimately, what we want is simply to feel love. We just think that it needs to come from the other person. We think it needs to come from society. Or, maybe more tricky, we think it needs to come from our children, or our parents, or our sisters and brothers, friends, partners, or our dogs. Why do we love dogs so much? For more reasons than one. We want to feel guilty. We choose to feel guilty. When we're conscious of it and we realize it's not the best thing to do, if we continue that, it's a choice. You prefer feeling guilty over not feeling guilty and standing out in a negative way. See what I mean? So feeling guilty is a way to compensate for feeling already guilty underneath that. We try to cover up feeling guilty with feeling guilty. It's one of the most important things to us, to our consciousness, to our present state of consciousness, is that others acknowledge us, that others see us, that others love us. Others, others, others. Others, others, others. We're so dependent upon the other. We're so deprived, usually, of our sense of inner love, of our sense of forgiveness, of our sense of belonging to all that is. that we desperately seek it outside of ourselves. If from that state of self-deprivation, if from that state of believing that you're originally guilty of something, you don't even know what it is anymore, you simply feel unworthy, you feel not enough, you feel guilty. Why? Most of us won't even be able to say why. Sure, maybe you can come up with some examples in your life, like I should have done differently, I should have done that differently, I shouldn't have said that, I shouldn't have done that. But underneath all that, if you take away all these reasons, and some of you may not even have that many, if at all, any of those reasons consciously, and yet when you tune into it, you feel guilty. Why? What are you guilty of? One of the ways to bring about, or to bring into your consciousness, the realization that indeed you do feel guilty on some level. Now, if this is really not the case for you, bravo. Great. I'm just assuming I'm talking to the general consciousness as I see it, not even in you per se, but just in general. One of the ways to bring about the realization that maybe you are actually feeling guilty and unworthy, and from that state you are seeking for enlightenment. From that state you are seeking for realizing the things you want to have in your life, or want to be in your life. You want certain realities, you want certain frequencies of consciousness to be part of your daily experience. We all want that. That's a natural tendency. That's the natural seeking, natural evolution. But does it come with a sense of striving? Does it come with a sense of, I need? And again, the best way to bring this about, maybe the most practical way to realize this, is imagine something that you really, really want. A reality that would be so perfect, so overwhelmingly perfect, that you'd be blissed out for the rest of your days. Or something close to it. Many of us may not be able to access that degree of visualization. But take something that you really, really, really love, and that would be so God-given awesome, if that would be your life right now. And ask yourself, do I feel it is possible? Does this feel plausible to me? Does it feel realistic? If the answer is no, you're feeling guilty, unworthy. If the answer is yes, bravo. If that reality could be here right now in your mind, you're in a state of self-forgiveness. You know your infinite worth. You know your infinite connection to the infinite. You know you are the infinite at some level. But imagine that beautiful thing, that beautiful reality. Do you feel worthy of it? Do you believe that's meant to be for you? Do you believe you will attain that in this life? It's okay if the answer is no. You don't have to fear that. We cannot change or transform what we don't own first. So own the fact that you don't believe that is possible, that you don't believe you're worthy of that. You don't believe that's realistic. You don't believe that is what you deserve. Own that. Admit that. You're not worthy of your desires. You're not worthy of your dreams coming true. You're not worthy of that whatever state of enlightenment you're looking for. You're not worthy of that bliss. You're not worthy of love. Admit that to yourself. Because these beliefs, to some degree, are there. Even if you can't really feel it, try to admit it anyway. I feel unworthy of my dreams coming true. Just say that and feel the energy of it. Don't run away from it. Have no fear for the fact that you believe you're not deserving all that is close to your heart. Just feel that. Feel that belief. Feel it running like a wave of energy or a string of energy. I believe I'm guilty of something. I believe I'm not worthy enough to be what truly resonates for me, what truly inspires me. And just feel it. Just feeling it alone with acceptance, having no fear, just letting it be there in that light, in that space. You will see it will suddenly start to look ridiculous and untrue. It may take a little while, maybe very quick. It happens quicker and quicker and quicker. Whenever you catch yourself of a belief that's of a negative, unworthy nature, you'll see how ridiculous it is, because you get used to seeing that you are inseparable from all that is. You are inseparable from the infinite. You are the one. The more you start to see this, when those beliefs come up, the sooner they are exposed as ridiculous ideas that never originally originated in, by, or through you. They were picked up environmentally. The environment is you as well, true. But you did not originally come up with it. As a baby, you did not believe, oh, I'm unworthy of my dreams. I'm unworthy of love. I'm unworthy of bliss. I'm unworthy of awareness. I'm unworthy of clarity. I'm unworthy of enlightenment. You didn't think that as a 2-year-old. You didn't believe that. So more and more, If you bring light to these ideas, to these beliefs, you'll see they're not true very quickly, more and more, very quickly. Because you're not afraid to look at them. Don't be afraid. If you're afraid to admit that you're feeling unworthy, then you'll continue to avoid it and compensate it. Why would we be afraid? Why would we be afraid to look at the idea I'm unworthy? Why would we be afraid? Why would we be afraid to admit that we have that belief? Because we fear it may be true. We don't want to look at it because it might be true. That's what we think. It's never true. Anything that says we're unworthy is never, ever, 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 ever true. So you don't have to fear looking at beliefs. You can realize they're not realities, they're just beliefs. They're not real. They're not true. Any belief that doesn't work for you, any negative belief you have about yourself, is by definition untrue. That's why it feels like shit. If it feels good, it would be true for you in that moment, and exactly what you need to believe in that moment. Of course, even when you believe in it, you can take it lightly. That's the road to success. The inner success is to take everything lightly, especially yourself. But have no fear of looking at your ideas because they're not true. They cannot be real. So I have no fear. Feel free to look at it. Scoop them up. Look them up. Take them out. See where you believe you're unworthy. Just actually look for it. And allow that thought to come up. And you'll notice the immediate fear reaction. I don't want to look at it because it may be true. Remember, it's not true. If it doesn't resonate, it's by definition already not true. That's why it does not resonate. So you don't have to run from it and then try to compensate that basic idea of I'm guilty, I'm unworthy. You have to seek something to compensate that for the rest of your life, unless you really want to. Just sit with it compassionately, knowing that they're not true, knowing that you can never be separated from the whole, that you can never be separated from that ecstasy which is existence itself. How could you? You're born out of it. You're made up out of it. There's nothing else for you to be made up out of. Bliss is the only thing in the universe. So you are bliss. You are love. You are that frequency. You are that energy. Who cares what a few tiny little human brains that don't know shit told you and keep telling you? Why fear that? Why fear it's true? It's so ridiculous. We don't know shit. We don't know anything. We're very, 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 very ignorant, especially as a collective. We're very intelligent, but we're very, very ignorant. We have the potential for intelligence, but we don't know shit. Why would you listen to this tiny little ape being on a planet, for example, your parents, your friends, your society, your teachers? Why would you listen to such a creature that has no idea what it's doing here? Has no idea of itself whatsoever? Why don't you want to stand out in a way that confronts them with themselves? Why would you ever try to fit your infinite bliss into something so limited? Why are we afraid to rattle the cages, both within ourselves as well as in others? If you put it into its rightful perspective, it starts to appear more and more ridiculous. Any belief that doesn't resonate for you starts to appear immediately as ridiculous, as not coming from you, not being of you. Therefore you can easily more and more allow it to be there instead of having to fear it and base your life around that idea that you're suppressing or denying or avoiding. You can simply look it in the face with the knowledge that it can never, ever be true, that it is in fact ridiculous. It's as untrue as saying that I have a white shirt on at this moment. Believing you're guilty is as untrue. So forgiving yourself has everything to do with acknowledging where you're feeling that strain, that, maybe I'm unworthy of what resonates for me. Maybe I'm unworthy of simply being happy, being free, being blissful, being at peace. Acknowledge that, see it, allow it to be there in the space of consciousness, which is seeing it. It cannot exist apart from the space of awareness. Nothing ever does. There's no actual world out there. It's all perception in awareness. So let your perceptions be there, and pay more attention to the light in which they bathe, the presence of which they are made. And you can start to feel that love come in, gradually, gently. The more you look at it, the more you start to see it may not actually be true. And very, very quickly, if there's a hole in the dam, the water will find its way to completely wash it away. It only works if it's airtight. Beliefs only work if they're airtight. So just poke a little hole, bit by bit, in that belief, I'm not worthy. I'm guilty of something. I don't even know what, but I feel guilty. I feel unworthy of my dreams. I feel unworthy of my desires. I feel unworthy of my enlightenment, whatever that means for me, however that works for me. That love that then comes in is forgiveness. That light that then shines through, as if a back door, a back window is slid open. That light, that warmth, is self-forgiveness. And if you have that light, what happens? Are you still seeking something? You may naturally be seeking the next moment of joy, but from the place of joy. You may be naturally evolving, but there is not a desperate seeking happening. You're not trying to complement yourself. You're not trying to fix yourself. You allow the light of infinity to shine through. The light of forgiveness. You stop avoiding yourself. You stop fighting with yourself. You give yourself the chance to experience the love that you are. You don't even deserve it, you are it. And the more you realize this, again, the more ridiculous ideas become. Because the idea itself, at some point you start to see that the thoughts themselves, the beliefs themselves, are made up out of nothing but love, ecstasy, joy, freedom. The belief that says, I'm unworthy, that really believes in itself, that cocky little arrogant idea that comes up, innocently so, but arrogant, says, I'm unworthy. Be careful, I'm unworthy, you're unworthy. That itself is made up out of love. You're unworthy of love. Love is saying, you're unworthy of love. Love is receiving, I'm unworthy of love. How ridiculous. It is love. It is presence. It is God. There's nothing for anything to be made up out of. It's the only thing there is. It's the one love. So anything that suggests otherwise just starts to look really, really silly. And therefore you can start to be lighthearted with it and allow it in the space, because you see it's not real. We only avoid the beliefs that we believe may be real. If you see none of these beliefs that don't resonate are real, that's why they don't resonate, you can gather the courage to let these beliefs pass through, so that in the light of your awareness they'll be exposed as absolutely ridiculous. Cute even. You're unworthy. That's so cute. Thank you. Love is telling me I'm unworthy. Love has many forms. All forms that are love. So is a negative belief. An idea of I'm guilty. How cute. How adorable. It's like a little puppy. A picture of a little kitten. You know, those Facebook pictures that pop up everywhere. Your fears are like that. Your beliefs are like that. And so you love them. You allow them on your newsfeed. You're not blocking them. They're adorable. They're cute. Why not? They can't harm you unless you believe they can. They can't distort the way you stand in life unless you believe they're true. So have no fear when it comes to allowing your beliefs to rise to the surface. Have no fear. They're not true. I give you my full promise that anything that does not resonate, a belief that does not feel right to your being, is by definition untrue, so you do not have to fear allowing it to be there, shining your light on it. Because when you do, that's where that love kicks in. That's where that surrender, that forgiveness, really starts to work its way through you. The light starts to be awoken from within. And voila, all the things you were desiring so badly that you thought would take 20 years of spiritual work. Why? Because you're present. You're no longer trying to avoid something. You're no longer also trying to become present as a means to avoid the fact that you're guilty. Even becoming present can be a cover-up for not wanting to be present. The spiritual practice, I'll just numb it out and be present. Which is beautiful. It can pierce a little hole through that veil, for sure. But is it still practice? Is it still hardship? Is it still strive? Why are you not naturally present? Because you're always present. You cannot not be present. You cannot not be now. You've never not been now. A thought of the future is now. The thought of the past is now. So if you think you're in the process of becoming present, why not instead look at what you're running away from? And as you see that, you'll be naturally present, effortlessly so. You see there is no other way than the love that's here now. And thus, all the states of enlightenment that we seek, all those states of consciousness that we call more enlightening or more worthy, if only I can reach those, I'd be less unworthy. That's where the whole search comes from. It's not because we really want that state. It's because we really don't want what we believe about ourselves. Suddenly, you're here. By nature, you're always here already, by nature. It's not something you do. When you see that through that self-forgiveness, then all those states, all those different frequencies of consciousness become more easily accessible, more readily available, because you're not running away. You're right here, effortlessly. You're just here. You notice your effortless presence, just like this. You're not entering those tunnel visions that are designed to get to some fancy idea about what I want, only to not have to feel unworthy. But also never fully reaching what I want, because I'm unworthy of that. See, you're always stuck in between, not looking at it and looking at something. Not looking at this and looking at something else. You never reach either. You're never satisfied. It's torture. It's whatever the opposite of self-forgiveness would be. Can you see that? Would you agree? Again, we can never transcend, we can never allow to transform and evolve that which we are not owning as being our choice. As long as we call them others, those out there, or even myself in here, this little ego, that's still the externalization of the cause of your misery. You're calling something as an external cause to how you're feeling. You're not deciding to simply feel how you want to feel, be what you want to be. What state, what frequency, what flavor of consciousness do you wish to be right now? Like just for no reason, just because it resonates. Even if we think, well, yeah, I see that. But it just keeps appearing like that. It just keeps appearing in my life. These circumstances, they just keep appearing. So what? The doorknob also keeps appearing in your life. How many times did you notice the doorknob today? I didn't once. I've touched the doorknob many times, dozens of times today. I've not noticed it once. It didn't stand out. So who cares what happens in your life? Don't turn yourself into a victim or you'll keep yourself stuck. It is actually self-love to not have any sympathy for that tendency that points at other people. That comforting, temporarily comforting tendency to point at a cause out there is actually self-hatred. When I'm speaking out loud as I do, it's actually because I love you. Self-forgiveness has everything to do with owning that you've been giving away your power to simply feel however you want to feel to the idea of other people, other beings, other circumstances, or even emotions and thoughts within yourself. Because I feel this emotion, I cannot be happy. I cannot be free. I cannot be open. I cannot feel love. That's still turning yourself into a victim, but now you're calling it yourself. But it's the same thing, no different. Do you want to love yourself? Do you want self-forgiveness? Are you sure? Are you sure you want to forgive yourself? Are you ready? Are you absolutely sure? Because you always get exactly what you want to get. That includes that trauma. Childhood abuse, exactly that is exactly what you desire to experience. Own every experience in your life as not necessarily consciously being wished into your life, but from a, let's say, a higher consciousness that we don't generally have a lot of access to. Every single thing that happens in your life, you desired and agreed to experience. There is no single, not even on an atomic level, there's no single random event. Not a single random event. So where does that leave the victim identity? Where does that leave that tendency to give your power away to an idea out there? Whether it's in here or out there, it's still out there. It's still outside myself. It's still not me. It's still out of my control. Where does that leave the victim idea? If you really consider that there is no single random event in your life and every single thing that happens is desired by you, by the wiser level of you, wiser than you, wiser than what you'd call you in everyday life. Much wiser, infinitely wiser. Where does it leave the victim? You're blaming yourself if you're blaming them. So do you want self-forgiveness? Or do you want to hold on to this little finger? Because it's so good at pointing at things. I just like pointing at things. What do you prefer? Either choice is equally valid. Life doesn't have any agenda for you. It supports you in whatever you believe, It's true. Whatever you perceive most value in, it supports you in that completely. Because it's neutral. It doesn't have an idea of its own. The energy is completely inseparable from the will of consciousness. There's nothing outside of the will of consciousness. Nothing. Energy doesn't have an identity or an agenda of its own. It's completely neutral. We use all that, consciousness uses all that to shape realities, which it then experiences through a particular point of view, usually called me. But they're all different frequencies, different realities, within and as consisting only of consciousness. Energy is the slave of consciousness, not the other way around. Energy doesn't have a will of its own. Circumstances don't just appear and you're dropped into them. That's just the illusion. The circumstances as well as the you that you think you are that's dropped into that whole holographic experience, it's all you. It's all the same substance, the same energy. That higher part of your consciousness desired those experiences exactly as they came about. You agreed to experience everything you've ever experienced. Where does that leave the victim? Why is that a bad thing? People keep challenging me for it. Why is that a bad thing? Because you don't want it. If it's a bad thing to you, it's because you don't want it. You like the position of being stuck, which can help to be realized because then you'll sooner or later have to admit that, yes, this is what I desire. It is what I desire. I desire to be disempowered. It's what I want. So you have what you want. You have exactly what you want. Again, self-forgiveness is this seemingly harsh or committed way of being where you actually realize that you have exactly what you want. There cannot be self-forgiveness if you do not realize that it's all you asking for this. It may be hard at first because you may have suffered so much endlessly over particular experiences, particular perceptions within awareness have seemingly caused so much suffering. But you, from a higher perspective, have placed these images there in your consciousness. These experiences have been projected into your consciousness as the world out there, your parents, and everything, for the reason of you being able to have that sense of separation, so that you can learn from that sense of separation, that sense of, why is this happening to me? What am I believing? Who am I? But as you start to delve into these questions, you can let go of that sense of separation. You can start to merge again, become one with that higher aspect of your consciousness, even while you're still within the veiled illusion of physical focus. Sometimes you have to be a little bit concise so that you can be really, really loving to yourself. If you keep that state of quasi-self-love alive, where it's like, I'm just going to be gentle with myself right now. Sometimes that's very genuine, don't get me wrong. But sometimes when it's like, I'm just going to be gentle with myself, it's just avoiding. It's just, I want to be a victim. I just want to be a victim. And sometimes it actually is time to be a victim. If you've gone through a lot of stuff, if you've processed a lot of things, it can actually be the most resonating thing to choose victimhood. And when you choose it consciously like that, when you choose that feeling of, I'm just going to be gentle and not, it's actually love. And you'll see that there is no real separation. You're not really blaming the other person. Because it's a conscious decision, and you realize that that's what you desire. So you're actually empowering yourself, even if it takes the form sometimes of pretending to be the victim. That's human, to some degree. Not that you are human, but it is human. It's a human part that comes with it. It's a choice. How you want to feel, not necessarily what emotions that come up for you. You don't necessarily have much, if at all, choice in what appears to you. Oh, that happens over and over again. So what? The doorknob happens all over and over again too. Does that have to affect your state of being? Does it have to mean something? If we really believe that the doorknobs meant life or death, meant finding the partner we love or not, meant whatever it is, meant finding enlightenment or not, we'd be like, they'd stand out like a sore throat all the time. But they don't, because we don't believe doorknobs mean anything. Why does your depression have to mean something? It does not. It's a choice. You're choosing to give meaning to depression. They're just a bunch of feelings that come and go, come and go, come and go. We call it, oh, they stay all the time. But that's only because we give it meaning. Nothing means anything unless you call it something. It is whatever you say it is. The energy that everything consists of, that loveless frequency, that energy, is neutral. It awaits your orders. Not necessarily always from a conscious place. Sometimes from a higher perspective that we cannot always tap into. So to some extent we are victims. But we're victims of ourselves, and that's the game we're intending to play so that we can come to terms with that and transcend it in that way, and find that loving connection to that deeper part of our consciousness. So yes, be gentle on yourselves, but be real, be absolutely real. Know that you're choosing your present state of being. Become more and more aware of that. And then the thought may again appear, yeah, but this happens again and again. This comes into my life. Yes, but I feel like shit. So what? If feeling like shit appears again and again, so what? Why focus on it? Why let it determine something? Why give it meaning? Why not allow it and simply move on like you do with the doorknob? It's all you. Make no mistake, it's all you. There is no other. So why give yourself such a hard time? Why focus consistently on these things that keep happening if you don't like them? You don't have to focus on realities or experiences that do not resonate for you. All you have to be aware of is what you believe about it, so that you can free your focus up even more from it. Not run away from it, but see, oh, wait a second, I'm giving this experience in my life so much meaning that I feel like I'm a victim of it. What do I believe is true about myself in order for that to seem so meaningful, to seem so real, so entangling? That brings you again to the space of self-awareness, from which you can see, it's a belief I picked up somewhere, it's an energy I picked up somewhere, and it's not resonating, it's not true. So therefore it can be there. It doesn't have to go. If something has to go, you're still giving it meaning. The doorknob doesn't have to go. If your beliefs or your experiences need to go away, you're still giving it meaning. What are you believing about that it has so much power over you that you need to push it away, or avoid it, or not look at it? What do you believe is so real about that idea? But with that kind of self-awareness, you can very quickly learn that you don't have to perpetually focus on anything. You're not necessarily in control of what happens, but more and more you'll see that you are in control in what your response is toward it. What is your energetical, your conscious response to it? What's your state of being's response to it? And then life will start to flow more and more. It will flow and become more blissful and more blessed, and more subtle ideas will be brought to the surface about how unworthy you are. When things finally start to work for you, you hit those subtle realms of belief, where it's like, I don't believe that's possible. Things are too good to be true, right? It's like a fairy tale. And fairy tales are not real, right? Why not? Because we believe they're not real. Life can continue to spin out of control into the direction of bliss, ecstasy, abundance, freedom, clarity, awareness, love, if you wanted to. If you don't, by all means, be a slave to those little ape men that taught you everything you know. Those waxed animals that don't know anything. Choice is yours. I don't care. I love you. I just care about letting you know that it is your choice. What you do from that moment onwards is entirely up to you. I have no agenda for you, because I have no agenda for myself. So what's up? What's it gonna be? Moment by moment, by moment, by moment. Now you know it may take some commitment to get that boulder rolling, but once it starts rolling, it becomes easier and easier and easier. It gains momentum and it becomes natural, second nature. So you have to remind yourself in the beginning again and again and again to snap out of that trance of pointing fingers, whether it is towards them or yourself. That putting the cause of your misery outside of yourself, saying that it's caused by that. No, you're saying that it's caused by that. That's why you're choosing to feel miserable. You are choosing to feel miserable. That is self-hatred. Self-forgiveness is realizing that that is a choice, and then starting to make that change where you start to choose the frequency of consciousness, the awareness of consciousness, the recognition of a particular quality of consciousness that does resonate for you. For example, the openness of the space right, or the vividness of the clarity that is imbued in awareness. It's clear. It's like awake. Or the feeling of love, or the idea we're all one, and just connecting to that frequency. There's plenty, infinite flavors of consciousness that are way more beneficial and are way more integrative and aligning for you than those same realities that you keep repeating simply because you believe you're unworthy, and you're afraid to look at the belief because you fear it might be true if you look at it. But if you look at it, it will expose itself to be absolutely funny, untrue, as if the poison is taken out of you, and the light of forgiveness streams in, more and more uncontainable. First, you'll try to structure it a little bit, make sense of it. Okay, this was enough. This was enough. This was enough bliss for today. If I do any more, I'll explode, or I'll hurt somebody, or whatever. Enough bliss for today. Let's get serious. And more you get used to it. You get used to the fact that that is your nature, that you are worthy, that you always can open up even more. That bliss that you said is enough, once you get used to it, there's a whole nother level of ecstasy, bliss, and openness, and infinite. And from there, there's another whole level where really, I'm really at the beginning of the ladder of this exploration. Now, some of you have expressed envying my state, not necessarily some of you, but in my teachings and course, like, you got it, or whatever. It's ridiculous. I'm a toddler. Nevertheless, I'm very satisfied with my toddler level. I'm very happy with it. And I wish it all upon you. But make no mistake, there's infinite expansion. You're not going to be fully enlightened right here, right now, in that sense. Think in terms of billions of years. Let that expand your view a little bit. Anything that expands your view and your sense of mystery and awe and infinity is great. It resonates, it integrates, it makes you feel more whole, part of all that is. And from that place, your life will naturally become a reflection of your state of being. You won't have to try for it. You won't have to try for it because you realize it's but a mirror. If you smile to the mirror, it has but one choice. If you cry for the mirror, it has but one choice. The mirror, which resembles the energy that makes up all that is neutral. It reflects what you say it is. It is what you say it is. If you keep waiting for the patterns in your life to change, if you keep waiting for your emotions to change, your thoughts to change, your circumstances to change, the people around you to change, your location to change, you keep waiting, that's still victimhood. That's still disempowering yourself. You're waiting. You can't make the change. You can't be the change if you're waiting. You can't be happy now if you're waiting. So what's up? What's it going to be? What do you want? What do you truly want? Because it's all fine. It's all loved. It's all supported. Unconditionally supported. You're unconditionally supported in your negativity as well as your positivity, as well as your freedom beyond both. Always equally supported. That's why you can keep repeating the same negative patterns again and again. Because the support that you get is inexhaustible. It's absolutely unconditional. If you wish to believe that about yourself, here you go. You still believe that about yourself? Here you go. You still believe that about yourself? You still want to believe that? Here you go. You have some more of it, because I unconditionally support you. I, here being, whatever, life or the universe, or intelligence, energy. Life's not supporting you. In that sense, you're supporting life. It's waiting for you. You keep waiting for life, but it keeps waiting for you. And it has way more patience than you have. It doesn't burn out. It doesn't get depressed if something doesn't work out, because it doesn't have an agenda. But it keeps waiting for you. It's in the timeless state of waiting for you. You're the creator, you see. You're the only one that is here. You're the consciousness that makes up reality. Now, it doesn't necessarily await you to design every little detail, although if that's your passion, by all means. It awaits your state of being. What are you sending out? What's the message you're sending out? What's the state of being that you're being? What are you choosing to be? You can choose to be love right now. It's not hard at all. You can choose to be freedom right now. It's not hard at all. If you call it hard, you're again placing a condition on it. Just be happy. It only seems hard because you haven't realized enough that it is up to you. You think it is up to how your body feels, how your mental body feels, your emotional body feels, what your circumstances look like, if you're worthy enough, but it doesn't depend on any of that. You can make the change. If you are the change, the world will change because it doesn't have another option. It doesn't have a will of its own. It's waiting solely for you. If you change, your environment will change entirely. The people that are in your life will change entirely. The things that keep recurring will change entirely. It really, really, really is up to you. Don't wait for enlightenment. Don't wait for life to support you. Be support. Be gratitude. Be love. Be appreciation. If you are that state of appreciation, however that feels to you, whether it's love, light, clarity, beingness, presence, isness, freedom, openness, compassion. But if you are in the state of appreciation, you're in the holistically positive upward spiral of consciousness. You're spiraling through the higher frequencies of consciousness. And at the higher levels, if you take an elevator and you go up a floor, the furniture looks different. You cannot bring the furniture of upstairs downstairs. That's what we're trying to do. That's not the point. Simply take the elevator. Why would you rearrange a whole floor and try to fix it into that dark little floor that you're on? Simply take the elevator. Choose the frequency you wish to be, and the floor you're on will change. The floor that you were on is still there. It's not actually necessarily that the people around you suddenly changed. No, you're experiencing a different version of those people. You're experiencing a different version of energy. It's not the same version. There is no same version. There is no static version of anything. Billions of times per second, you're sucked up into a black hole and spouted out again, into a pattern that so much resembles the previous pattern that you think there's this static continuity. It's not true. Half of the time you don't exist. Like a light flicker. At hyperspeed. And its only guide, its only governor is consciousness. So become more of consciousness, more self-aware of consciousness, of yourself as a presence, as a beingness, as a state of being. And life will become whatever you want it to be without it needing to be whatever you want it to be. Because wanting something to be a certain way, what kind of energy is that sending up? Is that a positive, appreciative energy, or is it a negative energy of, I believe I'm lacking, and I'm unworthy, and it's not here? So be very careful about desiring the things you desire and working on them. From what kind of energy are you doing it? Take a simpler approach instead. Shift your state of being and let go everything that is. Just be whatever you want to be, feel however you want to feel, and let life then support you, or rather reflect you. You support life, and it reflects you. It awaits your support. You're continuously supporting yourself. It's just reflecting. There is no static universe that you first need to deal with before you can move on. There's no static world that we first need to fix before you can move on. When you change, you'll experience an actual different reality. It's not the same reality. And we're so locked in to this idea of one static reality and one static person with static persons around it that we have obligations to and all kinds of things. Sure, integrity has a very high place. But outside of that, there is no obligation towards anything because it's not a static reality. Integrity is of an integrated nature. It's an energy that actually works upward, not downward. Integrity. But not, I feel so obligated to you. That's, See what I mean? See the difference? So again, self-forgiveness is about giving this gift to yourself. Self-forgiveness. Give this gift to yourself. Stop being a victim. That's not a harsh statement. It's a harsh statement to say, it's okay. Oh, it's okay. It's okay. No, I don't want to go there. It's okay. I'm being loving to myself right now. But I'm really, really miserable at the same time. But it's okay. I don't want to go there. Which is okay. It really is okay. So you're right in that. But what do you prefer? It is up to you. See your thoughts, emotions, and physical sensations and the world outside of yourself and go, who cares? It does not determine the state of being. State of being comes prior to the mental body, the emotional body, the physical body, and all the worlds that these bodies correspondingly experience. The world of thought and other people's thoughts or whatever, the world of emotion and energy like that, and the world of physical surroundings. They're all through the idea or the illusion of the bodies. So what? It's up to you how you feel about all that. It's not up to you what happens in those bodies, in those realms. It's up to you what your response is. Do you appreciate it? Are you confident enough? Are you doubtless enough in your unity with the one beyond all and everything that you can say, so what? This is beautiful. You, my greatest fear, are looking absolutely adorable tonight. I want to take you out to dinner. Can you have that confidence? You have that confidence. Is that what you're sending out? Is your state of being confident? Or is it trying to, yes, but, it's up to you. It really is up to you. You have my full love. You have my full support. I don't care, because I love you. If I cared about you, I couldn't love you. I don't care. I'm not concerned for you. I know you're fine. You don't have to convince me you're fine. You don't have to convince anybody you're okay. You're okay. You are always okay. It's a fact. You're okay. You're so okay that you don't even have to soothe your wounds. That's how okay you are. You don't even have to say, oh, it's okay, because that's still a fear that doesn't know it's okay. If you know you're okay, then know you're okay no matter what. Conviction. The most powerful tool as well as result of spirituality. If whatever practice you're doing does not lead to an integrated, humble, but unshakable conviction, then try something else. Or stop trying anything and just look at what you believe you did wrong. Give space to that I'm guilty, I'm unworthy of the universe, and then see that the universe doesn't think that at all. That you are here for a purpose, that no event in your life is random. That you are here exactly because you need to be here, exactly as you need to be here. When you need to be here, how you need to be here. You're in perfect coherence with all that is. You're not a mistake. You're not a random lump of body cells. You're worthy, therefore. You're worthy. You're absolutely worthy. You're even beyond worthy. You are the one. In whosever eyes you ought to be worthy, you are those eyes. The God that you feel unworthy toward, the life or the integrity or your parents that you feel unworthy toward, that let's say the life, the ultimate judge that you feel unworthy toward, you are that. You are the highest authority. Who are you begging for forgiveness? If not yourself. Forgive. Forgive. And as you forgive more and more, that stream, that light of nowness, of here-ness, of infinite potential right here, right now, very clear, very awake, very present, very loving, very non-needy, very convinced, will open you up like a flower. Effortlessly so. All you need to do is enjoy your state of being. It's win-win. You can choose what you want to be, you can be it, and as a result your life gets infinitely better. Where's the misery? Where's the unworthiness? Where's our addiction? Where does that come in? Our addiction to negativity, where does that come in? Our addiction to believe in this external world that's so real, that needs our fixing, or this being that needs our fixing. Just be whatever you want to be. Yes, but I've been traumatized so badly. So? Are you going to keep soothing that wound because you don't believe you're okay? Or are you going to believe you're okay? You can direct your energy nevertheless. It may seem a little bit difficult at first, but it becomes so easy and overwhelmingly obvious that you can never blame the world again. And you can do that. Sometimes I even allow myself to do that, but it's joyful. Even if there's tears, or even if there's emotions of a quality that we would call painful, there's such a full awareness of the inseparability of all that is, that I'm seeing the game that I'm playing, and I'm allowing that game to unfold. Therefore, I'm not really playing it. I'm not disempowered. So you're not really ever blaming anything again, because you see it's all you. It's not me and the world, it's me and the rest of myself. Always the rest of myself. And the rest of myself is very, very intelligent. Part of myself that I cannot perceive is very, very intelligent. It knows more than I know for myself. All I need to know is how to pick up a glass of water. And even that I'm not conscious of, it just happens. Intelligently so. I only need to attend to what's here right now. And not even that, hardly do I even need to attend it. I can simply enjoy my state of being and not be aware of things are happening. Nothing is happening if you're not aware of it. The doorknob is not happening if you're not aware of it. What do you wish to be aware of? That's the only question you have to ask. What do you wish to be aware of? Then be aware of that. Without excuse, without hesitation, without inhibition. Be aware of whatever you want to be aware of. Simple, right? Easy peasy. Are you worthy of that? Are you worthy of such power to always determine how you want to feel about something? Not necessarily what your body is feeling. It can be very tricky because it feels so intimate. Oh, this is how I'm feeling. No, that's what you're saying. You're coming from a place, from a particular state of being when you're saying, oh, this is how I'm feeling. That's what you're giving to yourself, the experience that this is how I feel. It's not. You just said it. You just responded in that way. You can feel however you want to feel about it, toward it or without it. Are you worthy of such power? Did you commit too many sins in your life or in your past life or in whatever the beliefs are? Are you so sinful? Are you so bad? Are you so unworthy of existence that you're not worthy of this power? This power which is the only power that ever operated anyway. If you feel guilty, you're believing there's an outside judge that you're guilty toward. But you create that outside judge through your state of being. It all depends on your state of being, your awareness. Where are you aware of? It's the only question you have to ask yourself. Not what do you need to arrange on the floor that you're currently experiencing before you can take that whole floor up. You're never taking things as they are up. You only take yourself up and you experience different things that may resemble to make sense to your mind. Suddenly you don't wake up in a purple planet with crazy creatures. Although that's possible too. You wake up in a reality that's quite similar. So it makes sense. There's this continuation of the illusion of continuation. But it's up to you what you want to be aware of. And as you change what you're aware of, where your allegiance is, the reality you experience will change. Because it's not static. Actually, it doesn't exist half of the time, billions of times per second. So you're already in different realities, billions of times per second. Different reality, completely different realities. Complete. It resembles the previous one, but it's a complete reality in and of itself, billions of times per second. The only thing that seems to be continuous or static is the story you tell yourself about it in hindsight. The reality itself, from its own point of view, is a completely new, complete infinite reality. So you've never been the same already. You cannot be the same. Therefore, also, you cannot gradually change. That's just an illusion. If you want to tell it to yourself like that, so that it makes more sense to you and becomes more believable, maybe you're a little bit more worthy of if it takes 10 days and not 1 second. Maybe that's believable enough. I can change this habit, well, maybe in 10 days. I'll work on it for 10 days. Because that's how I believe I'm worthy of change. What about right now? What about never be addicted again to whatever you're addicted to? What about changing right now to that completely different reality? You don't believe you can do it? You do it all the time. You just perpetuate such a similar frequency that it appears like there's a continuation, but there's not. You've never been the same. You've never grown gradually. You've always been abrupt about it. Billions of times per second, you transform. So stop telling yourself the story of linear change and be the change. And watch magic happen. Your past experiences did not happen to you. They happen only in that complete reality, to that complete reality. You're just spectating. It never happened to you. That reality is still there. It's not you. You're here, observing this frequency or this sequence of realities. It never happened to you. Nothing ever happened to you. Nothing ever happened to you. All that's real is what you say is real right now. And it's up to you to believe it or not, to dismiss this or not, to use it or not. Entirely up to you. You cannot forgive yourself in a disempowered state. It's perpetuating the illusion of more harm. That's all it's doing. If you really want to free yourself, realize that nothing ever happened to you. If you want that healing, that love, that forgiveness, you need to realize you're in charge of your state of being and nothing else. Nobody else is in charge of your state of being. When it seems like it does, when it seems like somebody does have that power over you, you're choosing that. You're choosing the illusion of somebody else having power over you. again and again and again, maybe. But that's still your choice. You're completely empowered when you're being a victim. You're in complete empowerment when you're victimizing yourself because you're doing that again and again. Against all odds, against all suffering, against all lessons, you keep doing it again and again and again. Or I should say we keep doing that again and again and again. How powerful. How amazing. You suffer there and you continue again and again and again. Such a powerful being you are. Such an idiot, but such a powerful being. We're such idiots. But the more aware we are of that, the more empowered we become. The more we regain our natural strength. And the Garden of Eden will be here, because the tree of knowledge doesn't mean shit to us anymore. All that matters is the vibration of our being. You're never out of power. Even when you feel out of power, that's what you're deciding to feel about. That's how you're deciding to label it. Whatever you call it, that's what it becomes. Watch what you call things. Start calling them differently. Vibrationally, start calling them differently. Start responding differently. And you don't have to worry about getting your desires, because your desires are desired by you. You desire these things you desire because they're already yours. You can't desire something that's not already you. That's not already yours. It's not already meant to be that for you. Anything that's a genuine heart desire, not out of fear, not of avoidance, but a genuine, resonating, exciting desire, an exciting vision, that's already yours. You can't desire it if it's not. So it's not a question of how to get there. It's only a question of how am I keeping it away. You don't have to do a single thing to be exactly the God you wish to be. Just be aware of where you believe you're not that God. It's not already here. You're lacking. You're not enough. Watch these ideas with the light of confidence, as you may have been somewhat inspired here today. Take that confidence with you. Take that remembrance of that universal scale, of that infinity. Take that with you when you're considering your mental, emotional, and physical body. Bring that light of confidence, that light of yes. Bring it to that. Bring it to those dark areas. And you'll see that those dark areas turn into light. Turn into love. Depression becomes blissful. Anxiety becomes excitement. It all becomes fun. It becomes deeply enjoyable. Well, I don't know if that's possible. That's what you're calling it, so that's what you'll get. I believe somewhere it is possible. That will be shown to you then. It will take some time, because you believe that somewhere it is possible. So it creates the illusion of time to come to that realization. Because that's what you're telling it, that's what you're doing, that's what you're being, that's what you're sending out. I completely believe this is possible. I don't even have to convince myself. There's no tingle of a doubt. I'm absolutely doubtless, I'm absolutely gorgeously worthy of all that I desire, all that I am. And instantaneously, just like that, your state has changed, with no interval, with no progression. You can hold multiple realities at the same time, or be without them entirely, in a sense. It all becomes very free, and very humbling. Like I said, it's not a cocky or arrogant confidence. It's the confidence that you are at the first step of this universal life. That's exciting. Who wants to be at the end anyway? What's so fun about game over? So much to explore. So much we'll learn, so much we'll experience. And it will only become lighter and 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 lighter. Yes, and even lighter than that. And even lighter than that. And multiply that, and you're still at the first step of the ladder. The funny thing about this ladder is that it has no end. There is no game over. It's just a thought we have, the little apes. Create a beginning, middle, and an ending. It doesn't exist. Because time does not exist. How can there be an end if there is no time? Not just eternity, eternity can end. Timeless. No time exists. The illusion of time is created by consciousness being aware of reality, creating that similar pattern that looks so similar to the previous one that you have this sense of time. But it's not really happening. Every reality ever experienced or ever experiencable is already available. It's still available. Timelessly available. It's not like you have any past experiences. There are no past experiences. There's only different realities that you tune into. And now you're tuned into this one. But they are still available. Hence, time travel, all those, whatever. Psychic abilities, because they're all available. It's not actually the past and the future. It's just going from reality to reality to reality. So stop trying to change the reality you're in. Don't make yourself a victim of the reality you're in. Don't try to fix the world, because there is no the world. There's infinite worlds. Which one do you wish to be part of? Which one resonates with you? Which one is you? Which one is the reflection of you? Don't hold yourself back. Oh, but they are suffering, and we need to save them, and them, and them. Save yourself. Be absolutely selfless when it comes to this. Through that selfishness, did I say selfless? Be absolutely selfish, okay? Because through your selfishness, you'll experience these changes. You'll experience these different versions. And to you, it will be as if the world has changed. But it's only because you changed. You cannot change your world. Our world is not there to change. It's only there for consciousness to tune into so that it can learn from that particular frame, from that particular reality. It's still going to be available because, in a sense, many different beings still want that frequency. They want to learn from that. Why would you want to take that away from them? Simply shift to wherever you want to shift it. Mind your own business. Be your own world. No victimhood. No victimhood whatsoever, unless you choose it, but then still you're choosing it. So it's not really victimhood. Disempowerment never there because you're empowered to choose disempowerment. Support never lacks because you're supported in whatever you believe is true. Thank you.